Welcome to Ravens Over. Please subscribe to my channel, also hit the notification bell, like this video, and share. I want to give you the story in reference to Amanda Milan. Something that happened to our sister years ago. I want to share you what they did to one of our sisters. In case you don't know, you will know today. Welcome.
Hey, what's up? How you doing? How you been? What's going on? What's good? Are you getting it in? Somebody getting it for you? What's going on, people? Subscribe to my channel.
Okay, I want to share this story with you. Her name is Amanda Milan. Now, this is a very long read. I want to share this story with you. It is a story that's been weighing heavy on my head, and I want to find out the whole story, that went down with her. Now, the sexual rights activists are hoping that the transgender beauty of Amanda Milan, the victim of a shocking murder, did not die in vain. Now, it's stated that the sky was unusual bright that night. The air humid and sultry, embracing the light. Amanda Milan was stopped by Times Square to join the early morning coffee cafe with a group of transsexuals who sometimes gather at McDonald's on 8th Avenue and 43rd Street to trade lemons on styrofoam cups. Now, Amanda was a tall black transsexual with long hair, from the massive broad cuts to her chin and welcoming smile dabbed in a glossing lipstick. She had an amber breast with the help of D-cup implants, and with the time she could pass as a woman. But around the Port Authority, people recognized that the girls who hung out with the Dwayne Reed drugstore, and Amanda was something of a celebrity in that circle. Now, it states that Amanda kissed her friends goodbye, and about 4 a.m. she crossed 8th Avenue hoping to catch a cab in front of the bus terminal with her friends watch her go and continue to watch as the man approached her. Now, Dwayne McCullough, a 20-year-old black man from the Bronx, had been standing in front of the corner at least an hour. Witness said that maybe his plans for the night was falling through. Maybe he was bored, and maybe he had seen Amanda pass by. Frustration began to swell in his throat. He said something to Amanda, and her friends couldn't hear because of the street noise. Then one of her friends heard him yell at Amanda, "Get your fucking drag queen ass away from me." Something else heard him say, "I don't know what you have in between your legs." Is what it states. Now, it states that Amanda was the kind of a person who stood up to thugs and people who heard insults. Said, "Friends, if a guy was looking at her funny, she might walk up to him and say, 'Do you have a problem?' She wasn't going to stand there and be degraded." Someone said that they heard her challenge him into a fist fight. "I'm a man too, if you want to fight, or maybe pull up on your wife beater and fight me like a man." No one could confirm the exact words that was exchanged in the beginning of the shuffle, but the events unfold like this, according to the later police reports. "I'll shoot you," McCullough allegedly said, as he may have then backed away. "I have a gun. I ought to punch you in the face and hit you." Now, it says that Amanda began to walk away to Eugene, a 26-year-old security guard from Queens, New York, who Amanda's friends said had seen around Port Authority, piped up. "Yo, I got a knife," he said, according to the police report. "Give it to me," McCullough responded. Now, in other words, the security guard allegedly gave the knife to the killer, Eugene. Now, remember this, a security guard, Eugene, 26 years old security guard from Queens, New York, said that they had been seen around Port Authority, piped up, and, "Yo, I got a knife," he said, according to the police report. "Give it to me," the McCullough responded. Now, Amanda, who was now halfway across the street, McCullough grabbed the knife from the security guard hand and ran after her Her friends still across the street screaming to Amanda, trying to warn her, but soon as he was upon her as she reached the corner on 42nd Street and 8th Avenue, he plunged the knife into her throat. Amanda fell to the ground in front of Dwayne Reed's where she began to bleed to death. A young Puerto Rican man from the Bronx took off his shirt and wrapped it around Amanda's neck to stop the bleeding. He rocked her in his arms, saying, "Baby, don't leave us." As others stood and watched, the police arrived at a scene around 4:20 a.m. and rushed Amanda to St. Vincent's Hospital in Chelsea, where she was pronounced dead on June the 20th, 2000, at 10 minutes before 5 a.m. At first, the killing received shock attention as far as mainstream media or the gay and lesbian press. The three sentences that appeared in the New York Times only served to confuse which knew Amanda. A man was fatally stabbed, misgendered, Midtown Manhattan yesterday after a dispute with two other men, the authorities said. Read the June the 21st news. The victim, the brief, June the 21st news brief. The victim was found on the sidewalk dressed as a woman, clothing, and stabbed once in the neck. Now also states that, but what at first seemed to be outsiders as far as Billy, newsworthy events as far as the lives of Times Square rebels has become a turning point in transgender activism in New York City because of the graphic and public nature of the crime, and perhaps because of the power of mythology has sprung around the events of that night. Now, Milan's death shocked a raw nerves among transgender people in New York City, and outside of Milan might have been just another transsexual prostitute killed in the Hell's Kitchen. But to many, she was majority whose death the transgender community investigated and tested on change. It was probably very similar to the post-Stonewall's response, said Reverend Presley Sutherland, as a Metropolitan Community Church minister who ran a support group called Gender People. I don't think that overstatement either. I think her death has had a tremendous impact on the memorial services, on the way that people come together and reach, was a real watershed moment of the trans visibility of trans activism. People who have been in the movement for years and years have never experienced this kind of solidarity. Now, the week of the attention turns to the trials of three men allegedly involved in this attack on. This week, the attention turns to the trials of three men allegedly involved in the attack on Kamala McCullough and the security guard, who have been charged with a connection with the slaying and could face life if convicted on. And the third man, David Anderson, 26 years old, is accused of helping McCullough escaped from the police after of the incident. So basically, allegedly, it was three men that was involved in the whole thing. Now, Amanda Milan who was 25 when she was killed, was born. Give me a second. I have to proofread this because some of this stuff is just misgendered. So work with me here. She came out as a transgender about 8 years ago, says friends. For the past several years, Amanda lived in an apartment on Central Park West on 103rd Street with her dog, Ashley, and she also traveled quite a bit to Milan and to Paris and to London, where she worked, according to her closest friends, and hung with a fashionable crowd. She had been friends with many other transsexuals, but modeled just one notch of a superstardom, as said Patrick, a Jamaican transsexual who lived in Amanda's building on 103rd Street, and said that she spent a great deal of her time with her. There was Porter who married a German Count, and other girls who were modeling in Naomi and Cindy Crawford, who were taking about who was talking about average looking girls who were talking about bombshell beauties. Amanda was often described as a full figure Beverly Johnson lookalike. Amanda close friends were Kim and a young Puerto Rican transsexual who worked at Showworld, and Simone, an African American transsexual who worked for the Times Square Screw magazine. The three were as thick as thieves, and about 10 years, said friends. Then 2 years, Kim went to England and then to Australia, where she was found at the bottom of the cliff, her body mangled. The medical examiner identified the body, but the serial numbers of the breast implants, said Patrick. It also says about 6 months later, Simone left town with a boyfriend who had invited her to live with him in San Francisco, but less than a month after she departed, word arrived in New York City she had been found dead, thrown from the fifth-story window. Amanda was devastated by the loss, said Petra, and she began to fear for her life because she would say things happen in threes. 6 months after Simone's murder and Amanda was dead too, Patra said that sometimes late at night, she and Amanda walked Ashley along Central Park West. They would wonder about what it would be like to live their lives as men so they could fit in and get respectable work and accepted as normal, but the approach never sat well with Amanda. Her philosophy was yourself mentality, slavery, stand up and be who you are. Play that role, said Patra. She said, all of us have an abiding reality of death is only judgment on how you live your life. She believed there was no justification in living a life of lies. It's deep down in your heart knows who you are. Our recent Saturday morning of a group of transgender people gathered in the overshell couches of the chairs and recreation of Metropolitan Community Church for a weekly spiritual support group meeting. Some came in looking so sad that they could barely raise their heads to meet eyes of others in the room. Some came in angry, saying that they had been catcalled for position in streets and the ways of the church, and a few latecomers arrived to the list of political issues that wanted to be addressed. Now, Jamie Hunter, the day of coordinator, asked that the group to read several poems out loud. The first was the portion of the Bible that mentioned the group talked about how gender people in the other ages were respected, even relevant. As meetings progressed, Hunter passed around a black binder, which white pages contain of a list of transgender names and simple notifications in black ink next to each of their names told in a grime hates. It said Terry Ladwig strangled to death in 1994 December. Tasha Dunn bludgeoned to death in October 1990. Nikki Spring 1976 thrown off of a roof. Gracie Kansas Baxter choked to death 1992. Marsha P. Johnson drowned July 1992. Maxwell Carfont burned alive 1972. The continuing of the 16-page, some people read it through, recognizing names and pointing out that there were friends. Others just flipped through the pages, their eyes rolled in expressionless. But the days of the silent acceptance of these horrors unharmed, numbers of more attention and focuses on the transgender community, the media, or popular culture. Hillary Swank movies like Boys Don't Cry. in which Hilary Swank won a Best Actress Oscar for the portrayal of Brandon Tina, a transgender man who was murdered in the early 90s. Now, 3 weeks later after Milan murder, some 300 people, descendants in the Metropolitan Community Church of Gay and Lesbian, Bisexual, Transgender Church in West 36th Street, attended a memorial service of Reverend Pat led the service in which is part emotional remembrance, part of rousing calls of arm. Our one friend spoke about how Milan has saved her from being homeless and helped to get started into school. Octavia St. Laurent, who was featured in Paris and Berlin in 1991 documentary about New York City drag queens eulogy, her friend demanding the audience not allowing her death to be unnoticed. After the service, others joined in the congregation for the march on the site of Milan's death on 42nd Street and 8th Avenue. They created a shine with flowers and photographs and poems. Although Milan's death did not have the national impact of the murders of Matthew Shepard or Boys Don't Cry, the murders had become regional rallies cry. The emotional service attracted the attention of both gay press and the New York Times. In response, in the publicity of outpouring concern of the LGBT community service center in the downtown Midtown hosted a town hall meeting focused on violence against transgender people on September the 28th, and about 200 people crowded the center for the meeting called Violence of Survival Transgender People Tell Their Stories. Now, Peter, a legislative aide at the Manhattan City Councilman, Christine Quinn, who handles transgender issues, allowed the meeting and said that the left feeling of Milan's death had led to a change. At the town hall, people said had times to translate the initial shock and grieving about the deaths into the larger picture of experiences of transgender people, he said. Now, then the end of November, members of the New York Association Gender Rights Advocacy Organization former of hate crimes and Jefferson Memorial Church in Greenwich Village at the beginning of the event, 50 of sole attendees asked to observe the moment of prayer for 17 transgender people who have been killed in the last 12 months, including Milan. The discussion focused on amending and state hate crimes law that passed in New York in July, included gender as one protective category. Many other states already included gender in the hate crimes legislation, according to the Anti-Defamation League, a Jewish organization that monitors hate crime. Only 7 in the 31 that the hate crime states in 1990 included gender as a protection category. Today, 19 of 41 statutes added penalties for the sentences in cases of the violence has been chosen because of their gender. A similar fight is taking place in the municipal level of New York City, where 6 members of the city council have sponsored a bill which will provide gender rights. People with the legal means to fight discrimination in employment, housing, and city services. Gender identified by the bill shall include the actual or perceived sex and should also include person's identity, self-images, appearance, behavior, expressions, whether or not it is gender identity, self-images, appearance, behavior of expression, or it's different from their traditional addition associated the legal sex assigned that person at birth. Now, if the bill enacts, New York would become the 27th jurisdiction of the United States to enact such a statute. Although the measure was introduced about 3 weeks ago before Milan was murdered, her death and activism and publicity that had brought to new sense of urgency to getting the measures passed. Okay, that gives you an idea how much of a movement that had happened on her murder. I want to share this there with you. Give me a second here. Let me renege. I want to share this there with you only because I don't know if she's been haunting me or whispering in my ear But I've been feeling her really strong. There was when you think about somebody because they thinking about you. I've been thinking about her a lot. I couldn't quite put the pieces together. Like, I knew she existed. I knew it was a murder. I just couldn't figure out what her name was. I got pieces and bits and stuff like that. And, I got the rest, of course. Amanda Milan. Murdered. Now, it is so difficult to do these type of stories. And it's so disheartening on so many levels. Now, this happened in Port Authority in New York City. Port Authority, now, if you've ever been to New York and stuff, y'all realize the Port Authority is very busy. So, allegedly, 3 people was involved in her death. 3. This is why I tell y'all to practice ignore, because it don't be really worth it. Now, we can't ask her what they did to her. Her friends was across the street. Her friends was across the street. She was murdered in 2000. She was murdered in 2000. 19 years ago. On a Tuesday, June the 20th. When 2 men, a 25-year-old transgender woman in the streets was murdered. The security guard, now remind you, the security guard allegedly gave him the knife to go kill her. He didn't talk her out of it, him out of it. He didn't tell him, yo, listen, you can't do that. Go home. What is your problem? What's wrong with you? Now remind you, this is not just a regular person. This is a security guard. You have to get a license to be a security guard. You have to have a background check to be a security guard. His thing was, he should have did was defuse it. His thing is, hey, you stay here. Amanda, you go. But he didn't do that. Allegedly. If he didn't help by saying, I got a knife, she'd probably still be here. She'd probably still be here. This is why I am the way that I am. Security guards is closest to cops. So why didn't you help her? You was there to protect and serve. But she's murdered now. Y'all couldn't fight her with your hands. You had to go get a weapon. And you stabbed her. And to prove what? What point are you proving by killing a person? Now you would scream loud if that knife was stuck into your mama's chest or your baby's chest on the way home from school. You would scream so loud. Why? But then again, a lot of y'all got dead souls. Real human beings aren't even present in the bodies. That's why I look in people's eyes when they talk to me. I want to know if I'm talking to a person or a demon. Because the demon comes in many forms. Many forms. I'm going to tell y'all something. My health is failing me because of my pressure being so high. My eyes, it looks like I've been crying all day. All you gotta do is go on Instagram and look at them. I go on Facebook. Red flag number 1. I'm watching the trans-attracted man defend this cross-dressing pictures they put up of transgenders in the bathroom, which is not really transgender, which is a joke to me. Cross-dressers. It's all for political thing, I believe, 2020. Here it is, a brown melon-skinned girl who is trans go attack the trans-attracted man for defending us, saying that we do pee inside the bathroom standing up. Now I'm thinking to myself, what am I seeing here? Why is it at this time of my life I need to see this? Why is it that the one that looks like me is going against somebody who isn't like me and telling him trans women do pee inside the stool, standing up, peeing? Most trans women know that's not us. This is the reason why I tell trans-attracted men to examine your girls. Every girl is not a girl. Some girls just feel as though they just transition because they look better as women. But everything about them is man. They will pee in the bathroom. Hell, they'll pee on the streets. They only transition because they feel like it looks better for them as a woman. They're not a woman at all. You see, being trans is not a choice. You don't just get up in the morning, wash it all off, and just say, well, I'm back to being a man. Because, see, being trans means you was already that way before somebody even pointed out to you. But there are a whole bunch of girls out here that are not trans. Buyer beware. And then the real ones won't even go into the bathroom because you got the fake ones out here going against their own sister. And at the end of the day, they're still killing us. Why is it so hard for us to get along? Why do we have to be a part of the tear down of our sisters and our brothers? And I just looked at her. I wanted to see what I thought maybe it might be a cross-dresser, but she had boobies and everything, brown-skinned girl. And I hope you hear it. I hope you hear me. You are a disgrace to every girl that bled in the streets as you sit up there and post that online and you sit up there and make a mockery of our life. You are a disgrace to every trans woman that is dead now, that's not breathing, because your way of thinking, it can go to a crazy man way of thinking. He will think the same way you think, and then here it is. We are now a target thanks to you. But you're going to reap what you sow. You're going to reap what you sow. Because as you make fun of one of us, even though you're wearing our bodies and our face, you are a wolf in sheep's clothing. You are a very dangerous girl, and unfortunately there are more like you out here. Being murdered is final. Being murdered is final. I was going to stand in front of this camera and talk to y'all, but I can't. I can't. I am so tired of looking at another girl that's attacking us. And here it is, I'm doing real life stories of girls fighting for us. And at the end of the day, these soldiers are being murdered. And death is final. While these other ones make a mockery of our life. And you supposed to be a trans woman in the struggle. Here it is, a trans-attracted man saying, that's not what they do. They're not like that. Stop trying to make a post about trans women. Here it is, you are going after him, telling him, yes, we do. We do go in the bathroom and stand up at the terminal. We do stand up and pee out there. This is why I say, I don't go to gay clubs and I don't go to trans clubs because I feel unsafe with the ones that look like me. I don't feel safe around y'all. I don't. I don't. I just don't. Anyway, I just want to share this with you. And I am highly disappointed. This beautiful girl is murdered. And for what? Standing her truth. She will fight for me, and she will fight for you. I will never know why her friends didn't go across the street. I will never know why they saw all that happening to her and they just watched. I will never understand that part. But I am the way I am for the reason that they was the way that they was. Because I'm going to tell you something. You can, whatever you may call me, whatever the case may be. If my friend was across the street, man, woman, cis woman, cross the street, and I'm watching something go down, you better believe, for my friend open their eyes up, I'm standing right there with them. Because if you hit one, you're going to hit us all. Whether I die down on the street with her, but damn it, I'll be damned if she's going to sit there and go through that shit alone. I'm a real friend. And people like me don't get the right recognition for standing our truth. We don't get the right recognition for us fighting for our sisters. But at the end of the day, y'all stood and watched. Y'all giving stories as if y'all wasn't really sure what the argument was about. Everything is police say or they say. I just don't understand why y'all didn't cross the street to help her. But that's just my opinion. Everybody's not like you, Raven, and I know that. Because I'm a real friend. A real friend. If I saw my friend being attacked, and help, matter of fact, I've done it. I've jumped in a fight when a guy was getting jumped by a gang of men, a gay guy. I jumped in the middle of it myself. And everybody looked at me like I was crazy. My thing is, you're not going to kill my friend. He was a gay guy. I had to literally try to lift this man up in the middle of a bunch of men by myself and carry him back to a safe place. I couldn't even lift him. Just like my sister, Amanda Milan. Now, I'm in the middle of a gang of men, and he's down on the ground. I go in, I get him down, got him to the club and stuff. Now, it was a man that was with me who didn't help me. He just stood around watching. I got him inside the bar. The bartender, the bouncer said, you can't sit here because the bar is closed. I said, he really needs to stand inside. I set him on a chair, still trying to talk to him. He's dazed here and not really here. He sat on the chair and stuff. The bouncer said he has to get up, Raven. I said, but I don't want to get up. So the guy got up. As he got up, he fell straight to the floor. He was like, what's going on? I said, he has been beaten really bad. The bouncer didn't realize while he was being beaten, the man went into had a stroke. He was stroking out. He had a stroke while they were beating him. I got him to the bar, set him at the bar and stuff, and obviously the ambulance was kind of being called. So his boyfriend, I told him, I said, your boyfriend got jumped. He said, I don't care. I was like, wow. I don't care how much of an argument or how mad you may be with your man, but when your man's been beaten on, that's when that BS goes out the window. You got to stand behind. Y'all go back to being mad at each other, case and be when it's over with. I ran into the guy again. He said, thank you, Raven, for not leaving me in the middle of the men beating me. Found out few days later, he died. He's dead now. And my point is this. This beautiful girl should have been helped. She was fighting. They were seeing stuff happen to her right before their very eyes. Why did y'all go across the street and help her? I will never understand it. In a million years, all I can say is rest in peace, my beautiful sister, rest in peace. And I want to share her story with you for many years. And I finally found out who she was due to the fact that her voice has been haunting me. And I want to share her story with you. Please be safe out here, my two spirit sisters. Because every sister is not your sister. And at the end of the day, even a crowd of people who sit back and watch, allegedly, as she was being murdered, no one came across to help. Allegedly. Anyway, like I said before, subscribe to my channel. At the top is the Instagram button. If you follow me and follow back, comment below. Let me know how you feel about this video. I want to let you know I love you. And thank you for watching. Catch the rain.